Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Phil Bussey, the Mile High Mouth, and today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, the Super Nintendo. One, I love these controllers, they're pretty great. Anyways, there was a Nintendo Direct and they added Earthbound. And it got me thinking about the Super Nintendo Online stuff, right? The Nintendo Switch Online service and what's left. Honest to goodness, most people were looking at this like, oh, this is super disappointing. It's missing a whole bunch of stuff. But is it really? I don't really think it is, actually. In fact, there's only a handful of stuff missing from this. Missing from, like, the ability to play certain Super Nintendo games on your Nintendo Switch. And I think we can pinpoint the real reason why there's not certain things. I mean, when you're looking at this, there's a couple things that are missing out of the main stuff, and it's all licensing. The only stuff that's really left that they could technically add without any real difficulty would be, let's see real quick. I think Mario and Wario, which was never released in the United States to begin with, and yeah, I've put together like a small list of games which aren't available on the Nintendo Switch. But if you're a Super Nintendo fan and you have a Nintendo Switch, if you're willing to go outside of the Nintendo Switch Online service, almost everything that was good on the Super Nintendo was available. We are missing, of course, things like Mortal Kombat 2 and Killer Instinct. Some licensed games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, won't likely show up on it. And then stuff like Harvest Moon and Lufia are stuck in weird license limbo. I mean, we do have some stuff from Natsume, right? And Natsume has the rights to Harvest Moon, but they also don't have the rights to Harvest Moon. Because remember, Harvest Moon and Natsume and Marvelous essentially kind of split ways. That's why their story is seasons and then Harvest Moon every year, and it's a little bit different. But yeah, with the addition of Earthbound, I think pretty much the only stuff we're really missing is Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, Secret of Evermore, Lagoon, Ogre Battle, Final Fantasy 2, 3, Mystic Quest, Mario Paint, Tetris and Dr. Mario, Yoshi's Safari, Lufia, and like I mentioned before, like Harvest Moon and stuff. But most of those are stuck up in licensing limbo. And let's be very honest about it. The reason that we haven't seen like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 2, and Final Fantasy Mystic Quest on the Super Nintendo service, along with Super Mario RPG, might be licensing issues with Square Enix. Square Enix is the one that's not playing fairly. Now, Rare could play fairly and give us Killer Instinct. I mean, we have, on the N64 stuff, we have Banjo-Kazooie, so there's always a chance we could get it. But let's talk about what Super Nintendo games, or at least alternatives to Super Nintendo games, are available on the Nintendo Switch. And it's kind of funny because some of the games that are available on this, we are missing like the Star Wars games, but we're not missing too much. With the addition of Earthbound, most recently, let's see, there's Blackthorn, Lost Vikings 2, Rock and Roll Racing, and RPM, all available in Blizzard Arcade Collection. Romancing Saga 2, 3, Star Ocean never came out in the United States on Super Nintendo, but have re-releases or remasters on the Switch. Final Fight, Knights of the Round, and other games that were on the Super Nintendo have the arcade versions available here. The Super Nintendo versions for Aladdin, The Lion King, and The Jungle Book are all here. Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol for Super Nintendo are here. Langrisser 1 and 2 is here. Thanks to the whole HD 2D thing, we're getting Live a Live and a version of Dragon Quest 3. The Humans, which is a Super Nintendo game, is available here. A bunch of Capcom stuff's available there. ActRaiser, but not ActRaiser 2. Um, ActRaiser got a remake, so they kind of remastered it. While they're not the Super Nintendo ones precisely, every single arcade Street Fighter game, including the ones that were ported to the Super Nintendo, are available in the 30th Anniversary Collection. And then from there, it gets weirder. We have Dracula X from the Super Nintendo. We have Mega Man and Bass. I think we're missing Mega Man Soccer, essentially. I think that's one we're missing, but like the Super Nintendo ones are on here. Contra 3 is on here. The Castlevania Anniversary Collection has Castlevania 4 on here. We've got... Let's grab a couple ones in here. If you're looking for... Actually, let me bring it by title, because there's a whole bunch of other ones. For example, some of the some games which were on the Super Nintendo but have arcade versions are here as the arcade ones. For example, Sunset Riders on the Super Nintendo isn't 4 players, but the 4-player version of it is available right here. It's arcade perfect. There's Arcade Perfect Ninja Gaiden. There's a bunch of ones which were Super Nintendo at some point, but also available in arcades. So I would actually recommend people go for the arcades. And honestly, if you're gonna go, why would you go for like a Samurai Showdown game on the Super Nintendo when the arcade ones are right here? I kind of feel like if people just kind of adjust their expectations a little bit, there you go. I mean, to me, maybe it's just me, but I feel that if you're just like, well, I'd like the version of the like for example with Sunset Riders, if people are like, I specifically want the Super Nintendo version which doesn't have all the features or doesn't have 4 players, to me that comes across as being the same as somebody who wants, say, specifically they want, say, Dragon's Lair on the Game Boy Color over Dragon's Lair Arcade. It's kind of like, or somebody who looks at, like, say, a Tiger Electronics game and goes, I want that one and not the arcade thing. Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense to me. But let's keep going on here. We also have Secret of Mana and Trails of Mana, or Trials of Mana. We have Contra, of course, over here. Many of these games many games that were amazing on the Super Nintendo or kind of rare on the Super Nintendo are available in other ways. I mean, are we really gonna lament not having Super Nintendo Doom when Doom is right there? And there's also, like, let's say if we keep going further, we might get the Final Fantasy remaster games, which would bring us 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So, if we do get that on the Switch, that'll be fine. We'll be good. I mean, most of the stuff that we're missing for it is kind of a little. I mean, yeah, there's Fighter's History, by the way. Here's the arcade version. That was also in the Super Nintendo, and then there was a lawsuit. Most of the stuff that people would be talking about, like Shadowrun or Chrono Trigger, we're getting Chrono Cross, so hopefully they'll bring over Chrono Trigger. And if they bring over Chrono Trigger, it'll be the other Chrono Trigger. It'll be the version of Chrono Trigger that has like all the little additional extras, which I'm fine with that. Mega Man X is on here. All the Super Nintendo ones are right here. So I kind of feel like, yeah, when you look at, say, Namco Arcade Archives or any of these, various versions of games that were on the Super Nintendo at one point or were ported to the Super Nintendo, other versions of them exist in a way that's easier to play and easier to get into. Like I said, Romancing Saga 2 and 3 are here. Star Ocean, which was never released in the United States, there are repro carts for that. But yeah, there's the remake of it. SNK Anniversary Collection, there's some stuff in there that was put on the Super Nintendo at some point. But generally, yeah, when we look at what's missing, which is Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, Secret of Evermore, Lagoon, Ogre Battle, we are getting a remake of Front Mission and Front Mission 2. and the Final Fantasy games, Killer Instinct, Lufia, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, and Harvest Moon, you find that the majority of the issues that we have with these, and the reason possibly for them not to be there, is Square Enix. Yeah. Other than that, like, seriously, some of these games, like, for example, Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol, are super pricey to get normally. Like, if you want to get them on Super Nintendo, those can be kind of super pricey. And then there's that whole other market where you can pick something up as a repro cart, and it's cheap, but then it's not original hardware or whatnot. And yeah, you do have to have a Nintendo Switch Online thing to get these, but generally it's not bad. Let's check settings. We could do CRT filter. Yeah, we're doing pixel perfect. I prefer pixel perfect. Especially considering that after all this time, they finally got Earthbound cleared. I think what we really need that's left to add to it, is we might get Killer Instinct, Lagoon, and Super Mario RPG. I do not think we're going to get Chrono Trigger inside of here. It'll probably be its own standalone thing because Square Enix will want to sell it themselves. Same with probably Secret of Evermore. Oh, and Illusion of Gaia. Yeah, I kind of feel like those are the ones that are really missing. Those are the ones that are left. I mean, you could go a little bit more obscure and be like, oh, what about Soul Blazer? Whoops. Actually, check these real quick. No, I don't need that. Whoops. I kind of wish that they had a version of the Super Nintendo controller here that had a proper like ZL, and then like an actual proper capture and home button. Other than that, it's not too bad. I mean, we got some weird ones like Psycho Dream. We got some of these that are super kind of hard to find. And then some, of course, that didn't show up. And then like the weird versions of stuff. Like most recently, they added Earthbound, but then they added this weird version of Super Metroid to help people like play through the game, like through it quickly. Like, hey, try to beat the game. Yeah, and that's actually kind of neat that they did that. They also did a version of that, which is for the Super Nintendo, where all the everything's unlocked. So yeah, it's nice to see them doing stuff like that. And they kind of neglected this for a while. Oh yeah, we are missing Kirby's Avalanche and Pal de Pon, but those are technically right here. Pal de Pon, or Tetris Attack, and Kirby's Avalanche, which is this one right here, which is Puyo Puyo. So we kind of got those, just not the Kirby and Yoshi versions of them. And we don't have Clay Fighters, but we do have Clay Mates, so it'll be interesting to see if we do get the Super Nintendo Clay Fighters at some point. Because like, there's still a few things they need to add to this. I really feel that in order to fully get everything that you would want on the Super Nintendo onto the Nintendo Switch, aside from having the Nintendo Switch Online, you're going to want to also spend some money and pick up some of the other little things that came out. But some of these are generally cheap or always on sale. For example, Blizzard Arcade Collection is it's usually at like $10. Sometimes it's even as low as $5. Some of these ones, like the Mega Man Collection, I remember adding, I think the Legacy Collection at one point was like $5. So if you keep an eye out on sales, make sure you wishlist stuff on your in the eShop, you'll be fine. But for anybody who's a fan of Super Nintendo stuff, the Nintendo Switch has almost all of it available, and it's still fairly price effective compared to what some of these go for loose. I mean, you can pay $20 or $50 a year for a Nintendo Switch Online or a Nintendo Switch Online with expansion pack, and you're good to go. Yeah, looking forward to playing through this one again. By the way, one thing I find kind of interesting about Earthbound is that there's the game itself has a we're gonna go fast for text speed, stereo. Mint, strawberry, banana flavor, peanut flavor. Banana. Let's see here. If you hit don't care, it'll give you like NES. And then you can actually like go through them with the names that they technically have in Smash Brothers and all that. At some point during the game, it's gonna ask you your actual name, and I'm not gonna spoil why. In fact, it's fine to just kind of like play. This is that's Ness, Paula. This is Jeff, I think. Jeff. Name another friend. Yeah. Name your pet. I think this one's King is what they want you to do. Yeah, there you go, King. And I think for this, like pizza or steak. Yeah, I agree. Favorite thing, I think for this one is love. Or rockin'? Hammer, love, gifts, slime, gaming, boxing, rockin', hammer. You know what? What's your favorite thing? If you're watching this, this should be your favorite thing. Us. Area DMG. DMG Ice. Although I think love or music is also acceptable. This is not actually a thing, but let's do it. Yeah, that seems right. Coolest thing. Yeah. There was some talk about like music licensing with this game at one point because of some weird things with Apple Music. Yeah. By the way, they added Earthbound Beginnings as well, and that one has the creepiest opening crawl, essentially. You're like, the little story, you're like, yike. That said, I love the fact that I can play this with like their little official Super Nintendo controller. I wholeheartedly recommend that people get these. I have 3 of them specifically because of well, let's see, I have 4 of the NES ones, where it's so, you get them and it's a pack of 2. I have 3 of the Super NES ones because of Secret of Mana, I mean. Yeah, oh, that's another thing that's missing too. Super Bomberman's missing. But there is a Super Bomberman game on the Switch. It's just a bit different than the ones that were on the Super Nintendo. So yeah, there's still a little bit of stuff that's missing, but all the major ones are like Square Enix related. By the way, you can just hit the L button to check things out instead. It's a little bit easier. Nope, nobody's attacking you with the lamp. Hey bro, did that sound wake you up? Were you freaked out? I think it's kind of funny how this one opens just a little bit like the first one. Actually, I would say, to be perfectly honest, Earthbound Beginnings feels like a prototype for this game, even though they are sequels. Parts of the opening and then when you get to Mother 3, its opening is completely different. Mother 3 kind of subverts the expectations, essentially, of how this would be. I don't know. There's my couch. I'm gonna talk to the couch. Let's check the couch for money. Nothing. Okay, hey. You'll sneak out of your room anyway, even if I asked you not to. At least change out of your jammies before you go. Wow. So let's get away with all sorts of stuff. Actually, let's see here. Let's do an equip. Make sure that we're equipping this cracked bat. We've got 20 bucks in our pocket. And we're heading out there with a cracked bat to commit some crimes. Wait. No, not crimes. Trespassing. That's a crime. But yeah, Earthbound. One thing about Earthbound is I kind of feel that it's one of those games that people whine about a lot, but not everyone's played through it. And that's actually kind of an issue. You got a lot of people who are like, oh, why won't Nintendo release Earthbound? Why won't they release Mother 3? When they release Mother 3, are you sure you want to play through it? I mean, most people who say that haven't played Mother 3. Mother 3 is definitely worth it, but it is definitely a niche product. Same with this game. There's a lot of little things where there's a lot of little conventions of older RPGs which don't particularly gel well with a modern audience that is used to RPGs kind of holding their hand a little bit. Now, I think people would go in this and they're like, why can I only have certain amounts of stuff? Why is which, by the way, if people want a little bit of a so you can hit and talk to this, right? Or you can hit the A button and bring up the menu and look at the stuff here, or you can hit the L button to skip all that, because L is essentially an all-purpose version of A. Ooh. Just a reminder, you can play this with one hand. You hit the select button and then the L button to get into this menu. You can check up on all that. Yep, and then you hit the select button again to get out of it. So in this case here, select will open up your menu essentially. Select and L will open up your menu. Hitting select again will close it. When you're in the menu, your L button is an A button essentially, and the select button is a B button to close it all out. Yeah, whatever, Pokey. Yeah, there's a reason why I specifically put it on fast. I'm like, yep. Yeah, that doesn't. It's telling me last week or something about he's driving me nuts. You two are friends? Yeah. I see. Really? Yeah, I'll get out of my way. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, we can go back over here and we picked up some bread in a box in the woods. We're gonna eat that later because that makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of little quirky things for this, but if people play through Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound, they're gonna be like, man, why is this game like this? So much of this stuff is much more difficult than it really needs to be. But if it weren't for games like this, you wouldn't get games like Undertale or Deltarune or so many different indie RPGs and such. I would say that Earthbound is kind of like the predecessor to all sorts of different games. I mean, I think if it weren't for Earthbound and, say, Secret of Mana and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Link to the Past, you wouldn't get the majority of indie stuff that we have today. So much of that is inspired by those. Like, let's see. Over here, there's quite a few. I'm trying to think, where was one? I mean, stuff like Eastward owes a huge debt of gratitude to things like Earthbound. Same with Deltarune and other ones. There's quite a few. There's a few that owe some stuff to Ys, like Faerun and a couple of the other ones owe that. But yeah, part of the real problem essentially with the Super Nintendo stuff is that we don't have a lot of certain games. Like, we're missing Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger and all that stuff, but we're missing them because of Square Enix, not because of Nintendo. But yeah, if you have the Nintendo Switch Online, you should definitely check out Earthbound. And also, if you're a fan of Super Nintendo, go pick up a Switch. There's a lot that you can pick up for it that will kind of tickle that nostalgia, whatever. Of course, there are other ways to get like and play these. You know, there's the whole emulation scene. But if you want to get stuff where you're supporting creators and you're supporting the companies, only stuff that we're missing is like just about, I would say, a handful of small games. But I mean, they're not small. Like Super Mario RPG by no means is small. But we've got stuff that's just kind of held up essentially by, well, licensing. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think. This is just going through to kind of go over the state of Super Nintendo games on the Switch. There's a bunch. If you're looking for a particular one, you can probably find it or a remaster of it on the Switch. Unless you're looking for Chrono Trigger, which for some bizarre, inexplicable reason, Square Enix hasn't put out on the Switch. They're putting out Chrono Cross. I already pre-ordered Chrono Cross, but come on now. Chrono Trigger, just put it on there and I'll throw money at you. Free Chrono Trigger. That's what they need to do. I mean, there's really nothing other than possible incompetence on the part of Square Enix that's preventing it from being on the Nintendo Switch. That's all I can say. Just sheer incompetence on behalf of Square Enix. Anywho, let me know what you think, and until next video comes out, you are now caught up. Morning, Maya!